Thursday afternoon chat. Your favorite artists with Jayar.
Ladies and gentlemen, do I have a button for first timer on the show? I don't think I do. But here we are, a first timer on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together unless you're driving for Jamie MacDonald. Hello.
Hello.
It's good to have you.
Thank you.
I have I've done thousands of interviews, like one a week for 20 years, but I still get a little nervous with first timers because you're learning how somebody talks. You're like, okay, who are you? Our listeners know you because of this song, but I'm kind of getting to know a first timer, and it's like, oh, this isn't my wheelhouse because you're just getting to know each other. So just know that right out of the gate. We are going to start by doing something we've just started doing this to get you out of your comfort zone for a second, okay? All the questions I was going to ask you are actually in a golden tube of mystery over here.
Oh, wonderful.
That hopefully will be a fun experience, not a nightmare for you. But your questions are in this sort of bouncy castle.
Okay.
And also, there's cash in there.
Yes.
There's a lot of fake cash, so don't get too excited. I think there's a 20 in there, if I'm not mistaken, that's real.
Sweet.
But there's some Publix coupon. There's just it's a golden tube of mystery that we're going to put you into. But when you get out of there, just bring me what you get.
Okay.
And then your questions that I'm gonna ask you are what you're gonna be grabbing. You can't grab from the ground. You have to grab from the air. Okay, because it's gonna start blowing around.
Where? Right over here?
Yeah.
Okay.
This.
All right.
So
I can't wait. Oh wow.
Here we go.
Whoa. Okay. So just head on over.
In a second, we're gonna let some air come in.
I kind of did not know that was gonna blow up. I thought it was just a.
Yeah, we try not to tell you about it until it's starting to take shape.
That is so exciting.
All right.
Stoked. I better get a little more coffee in here for this.
All right. I'm gonna walk over there with you.
I'm reaching through the air.
Yes. It'll start blowing here in a second.
You cut it down.
Okay. And 30 seconds.
I never did this
3,
before.
2, 1.
Come on, come on, come on. Wait, give me more.
Kick it.
I'm not getting any. Wait.
Oh, there we go.
Yes.
Here we go. 3,
Yes.
2,
Yes.
1. Steven, hit it.
I got some at the end. Yes.
Okay, well, we pulled one question here. Let me see. Where did I put it? Here we go. All right. Can you just walk me through Desperate, where it came from, the DNA?
Yeah. So I was, I had just moved to Nashville in 2019 and was kind of going all in on music. And I was talking with labels and kind of really feeling like my life was about to change. Around that time, the pandemic hit. And I found out that my dad, who I hadn't seen in a number of years and kind of lost track of, was needing a caregiver in Atlanta because he had end of life Parkinson's and dementia. And so I went to kind of check on him and see how long this quarantine was going to last. And it ended up 2 weeks turned into 3 months and then 4 years. So I spent basically the last 4 years in Georgia, walking with my dad through the last years of his life. Had a lot of beautiful times, but some of my most desperate times, reconnecting with him and kind of facing a lot of things from my past that I kind of was holding on to that I didn't know was there. And also just feeling really alone and confused. I laid all the music down and kind of thought maybe my dreams were over, but I really felt like God called me to Georgia for that time with my dad. So I felt like I was living the message of Desperate for 4 years before I wrote the song. And then my dad passed in August of 2023, and I moved back to Nashville, picked back up on the conversations I was having with the record labels, and ended up signing a record deal with Capitol, and then kind of started getting into writing rooms, having all this stuff to say and all these deep, experiences that I had with my dad. And I came in the writing room with Jordan Sapp and Jonathan Gamble, and just kind of shared what's been going on in my life and where I was at. And Jonathan actually was also in a place of desperation. He was praying for a child. Him and his wife wanted a baby, and they just weren't able to get pregnant. And so he had already started the idea, Desperate. And so we just kind of both penned that song, and we're like, we need lyrics for crying out to God, like from the depths of our soul, you know, with language kind of like King David in the Psalms. You know, we're just like, we want to give people a tool to cry out to God, like with all their heart. And yeah.
Did you ever? This past year has been one for me where I never got into the story. We all know David, but then who anointed David was Samuel. But then you look into, I feel like a lot of women have done Bible studies on Hannah. I had never. And what you're describing is, if you go through and read that, she was praying so desperately that thought she was drunk in the temple when she was praying to have Hannah. Couldn't have children. And I'm like, that's an interesting perspective to stand up in the temple and pray so passionately that they thought you were out of your head drunk. And I'm like, I mean, you don't see that on a bumper sticker or a t-shirt, pray like you're inebriated, but it was like the fact that they thought she was in that place. And I'm like, I don't pray like that. And until you get to such a desperate place that to go to that level where you're day and night and nonstop, you just kind of casually pray, hoping you're hearing this right. But to get to that Hannah level, or like you're describing with David, it's like, oh man, that was coming from a place deeper than the average surface, you know. Jamie, before we get to one of the other questions that we pulled from the tube of mystery, whatever it's called, I did want to ask you this, with your last name being MacDonald. If you ended up working at MacDonald's, where do you feel that they could put you that would best bring out, like you would have a good day, good first day? Where would they put you?
You know, my first thought is like in the play place, like even disinfecting, because then I could like sing and it would like echo, and I'd probably have a really good time.
Do they have somebody that, I don't even know is that somebody's role? I feel like they let it go. Or maybe end of the day, somebody goes in there and sprays something.
I just think it needs sanitation, so maybe I would help create that job.
I don't feel I've seen those very much anymore.
Not really, no.
Maybe since the pandemic, those have. How would you do as a cashier?
You know, I've worked a lot of fast food, and I refuse to work at McDonald's because my last name is McDonald.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so.
Oh, this is a nerve.
I've done Wendy's. I've done Burger King, Dairy Queen.
I worked at Little Caesars for a little while, and I took a picture at the beginning and the end, and I look like double me because you get free food.
Free pizza.
So I was eating crazy bread for free because at the end of the night they had to put that. So all of us were 17, 18-year-olds that were just eating crazy bread every night, and our bodies doubled. It was horrible. So I can imagine like a McDonald's or a Taco Bell where I'm like, oh, these are going nowhere tonight. Yeah. I'm bringing these home. And they're a part of my life now. And that would be bad.
My friends loved me during that time because I always had free food after work, just stacks of pizzas. And
Wendy's fries?
Not so much fries, but like when I worked at KFC, you had to have like the whole chicken window stocked up until the minute you close. And that's like 24 pieces of chicken with the full fixins. And then when you close, it just all goes in the trash. So I would call people like, hey, we got a 24 piece. Like, come on by at like 10:05.
Are you selling at that point? Or this is
No, but
it was a side business that I started. Yeah.
Why didn't I think of that? Half price.
Right. Let's go with what is something that's kind of been brewing in you over the past, I don't know, few months that you've never written about, but you can already see, oh my gosh, this is so going on in me currently that I can see writing a song about this down the line. And one day, if you do, we'll know it was kind of being birthed here.
So yesterday I was kind of just thinking about like my life story, and just I have gone through like so many hurdles from a young age. I was a high school dropout. There's just like a lot of different things that I felt like were keeping me from the call of God in my life. And I kind of kept falling into the pit and the different traps along the way. And just kind of feeling like I finally got where I'm going, and I get to do what I love, and I'm getting to impact people. And so the idea is like, the devil thought that he could, keep me down, and he thought that he could kind of stop me here and keep me from doing what God had his will for me in my life. And so the song would just be like, sorry, you didn't win.
Yeah.
Something just like,
I feel David Crowder.
you can't
has a
touch
part.
me.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you lose.
Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Does that happen? Because I know you do songwrites with other people, but it's like you walk in going, I don't know where we're going with this, but this has been, what is it called? Main story energy. What is that phrase? Main character energy. Like whatever you're going through right now, you walk into a writing sesh going, this is main character energy. This is what's happening right now, and you guys need to just help me put the words to it.
I feel like that's every single session.
Yeah.
And with like just the different events in my life, I'm feeling so many things, whether it's like the grief from losing my dad or forgiveness in my life or, you know, a family member or just there's just like so many different things happening in my world. And then the excitement of my life changing and just God's promises becoming like reality in my life. So I just constantly have things to say,
songs
to sing. Yeah.
Floating around in your
And
head.
I'm in
like
the room with like the best people in the world, the best writers. So.
Right. One of the other questions you pulled out of the tube of destiny, whatever it's called.
Tube of destiny.
The golden.
The golden house.
The
of
golden
dreams.
house of dreams and mystery. If you picture rapture one day, crucifixion, and manger, which of those three, if you can be an innocent bystander, you would love to have just been to let all your senses take in that moment? Obviously, with rapture, we're not exactly sure how that
I'm
one's
not sure if I want to be an observer of the rapture. I kind of want to be like in it.
Let's pretend you're looking up at me. And
easy, it's manger for me, just because like even all the movies and I don't know, there's like the magic in the air around Christmas and
Mariah Carey's in the background.
Mariah Carey's in the background, but like the wise men and the stars, the North Star and all that, like I kind of feel like I was there because I've watched so many great movies. I love the Nativity, that movie. So
yeah, one of my favorite parts of all that is just the shepherd part, where when it says a host of the heavenly, I'm like, you're looking up at you're looking at the Big Dipper and all that, and all of a sudden, I don't think we even have a concept for what a guy watching a sheep all of a sudden is seeing the host of angels, not just like one, but it's like the big choir, and you're seeing that, and then it poof goes away, and you're just still just sitting there with a sheep. Just takes my brain places.
I love that.
Yeah. Let's wrap on this one. How long have you been on stages since you were younger, singing?
Yeah, from a young age, I've been in school performing and stuff like that, and then I kind of took a lot of time off, and so stepping back into it now.
Can you, if I were to say, what is the greatest moment on a stage of your entire life, where does your mind go?
I would have to say Africa. I got invited to Africa kind of right when I gave my life to Christ at 21 years old. I was a brand new believer, so I hadn't really had an experience of what church was like and how to pray for people and anything to do with teaching the Bible. But when I got to Africa, everybody expected me to be like America's most anointed preacher. Like, why else would they send you 2,000 miles? And so I got pushed up to preach one Sunday morning in front of like 500 Africans. And I was so nervous because I'm like, guys, I don't even know the Bible. I just like gave my life to Jesus. I didn't really say that, but when I got up there, I decided to start singing instead of preaching because I'm like, at least I know how to sing. And so I had bought this little tiny drum at the market that morning, and it wasn't an instrument. It was more of a decoration. But I pointed to the bishop, and I was like, get up here and play that drum. And he was like, that's not an instrument. I'm like, play it. Yeah. And so he gets up there, and I start belting out this gospel song. And it just felt like something broke off of me because I hadn't sang in so many years, and I had lived like away from God for a good 5 years before that moment, before rededicating my life. And so I got up there and belted this gospel song. By the second like round, everybody joined in, and it was just like this big eruption in the room. And it was just like a defining moment for me. Like, this is what I'm made to do. And it kind of accelerated that when I had been silent for a lot of years.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. We're loving the song Desperate, and it is it's always good to get our first one out of the way. So interview 2 will be old friends.
Sweet.
All right. Thank you for the time. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
The Thursday Afternoon Chat. Your favorite artists with Jayar.